Greetings, everyone. I just got this live stream going. It's kind of an impromptu thing, and I just wanted to check and make sure that I've got. Whew. I decided not to wear the microphone because I might cough a little bit. It'll be a little too loud for you, but anyway, I've got my phone here. I just wanted to check and make sure that you can see me okay. Give me just a second. It's silly that I always have to check and see if my live streams are working properly because it seems there's always a problem with no matter whether I use YouTube directly or software, it seems there's always some kind of problem. And right now I'm not driving anywhere, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not using any special connections or hookups or anything like that. I'm just using the basic Prism app, going straight to YouTube, and it should be live right now. But I just want to pull it up on here on my phone to make sure that the live stream is going properly and it's working and all that good stuff. So click on view my channel. It says I'm live, so that's good. And now I can actually, okay, I can see myself here. So I'm going to try moving this up just a little bit there. And that should be okay. There's a little bit of a delay, but it's all right. I can't really get out, and many of you already know this, I can't really get out so easily from here to my house to do any videos out there. I can't do any DIY stuff out there. There are a couple of reasons why. I mean, the main reasons are, number one, my health condition. Number two, I'm studying in Onomichi, and if I drive straight from here to my house with no traffic, it's about 1 hour, and that's the best I can do without tolls. However, basically, I decided that for my channel, besides just giving you updates about what's going on with my health, which is important and it's something I have to share sometimes, I decided to talk about some other issues that are going on because I have a couple of friends, some in Japan, some in China, some in the US, who I talk with sometimes about some things that are going on in Japan, social issues and stuff like that. Philippe can't stay. Philippe G, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. Lemmy's member stream starts in 5 minutes. Okay. I checked earlier to see if she had a stream because I didn't want to interfere, but this stream won't be too long. I just wanted to go over a few things, but thank you for stopping in and saying hello. I do appreciate that. You can always come back and check it out later if you want to. I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the social etiquette stuff because basically there are some people that I follow on YouTube and some that I find to be a complete waste of my time. And there are different reasons. Everybody's different, but there are some really popular YouTubers that are in Japan that I don't follow. I used to, and I don't follow anymore, and there are a couple of reasons why. Number one, they've changed a lot, and not in a good way. I guess a lot of success has really changed them. It's kind of like the old expression, money is an amplifier. And what it basically means is the more money you get, the more it shows who you are. A lot of people say that money changes a person, but I don't believe that at all. The truly wise person knows. And I'm not saying I'm wise. I'm just saying that I learned this through reading and other wise thinkers. And basically, what those wise people know that a person who it seems to be a good person their whole lives, and then suddenly they get a lot of money and then they just go crazy and do all these other things. That isn't a person who changed. They didn't change. It's just that their whole lives they didn't have the means to be who they really were and show who they really were, because what was holding them back essentially was poverty, or options, or other choices, or the means, the tools to be who they really felt like they wanted to be and to do the things they really wanted to do. But whenever that money came pouring in, suddenly they were able to do that. They had no holds barring them back. They had no issues anymore, so they were able to show their true colors. And I'll be in the background. Thanks, I appreciate that. You're helping the stream, Philippe. I appreciate that. So that's the main reason I don't follow some of the YouTubers, especially in particular the Japanese YouTubers, the ones who've changed, because the success has really gotten to them, and they've become more about clickbait and doing things that don't benefit me. They just waste my time. Plus, I live in Japan. I've been here now for over 4 years consistently, and I did live in Japan before for a short time before I went back to China. So I don't really need to follow a bunch of people that are, and in particular foreigners who come here and show their life here. And I don't mean, there's some that I still follow and I like to follow because I get some value out of what they're doing. Like my friend Danny, his channel DIY Japan is just an example. He does a lot of work. His channel name is aptly named because he does a lot of stuff. I was able to visit him and see his house and what he's doing there, and he does a lot of stuff himself. He doesn't rely on other people to do things and get things done if he doesn't have to. And I can actually learn some stuff by seeing the way he does some things, because we're both in Japan, and it's not always easy to get people to come out and do what you need them to do, especially for me, because in my house, many contractors look at it and they just say it's too old, and they won't come work on it. So I will follow people like him because I can get something out of it, and also he's a friend. But there are too many other YouTubers that are just making videos about, oh my gosh, look at this is the greatest, or this is the cheapest, or this is the smallest, or this is the most tasteful thing in Japan, or they blow things up into a really big deal. And I told you all of that for a reason. I know it seems like I'm rambling, but I told you all of that because it filters down into today's topic, which is the idea of, do you really need to focus on or think about or be aware of or worry about etiquette when you come to Japan, when you're touring Japan, or when you move to Japan or come here for work or whatever? Do you need to worry about it? If so, what do you need to worry about? What do you not need to worry about? And that sort of thing. I've got a couple of comments. Oh, Philippe and Peppy. Hi, Brandon and friends. Hi, Peppy. Thank you for stopping in. I realize there's if I get a chance, I'm going to make this as short as possible, and I'm going to jump over and check out Lemmy's channel. I didn't realize she was doing a live. I checked her feed, and I didn't see where she had a live feed coming up, and that's why I jumped in here to do this one real quick. But it's just another one of my friends. She's a YouTuber. I met her when I was in Tokyo, and I still remember every time I think about where she's at now. She's, I think, almost at 10,000 subscribers, I think. And I remember when I met her and she talked about what she wanted to do, and that was pretty cool. It's cool meeting people like that and then seeing their growth over the years. It's really cool. But anyway, one of the channels I do follow is a Japanese guy named Sora the Troll. Some of you might know who that is. He's pretty funny, but his live videos tend to go on for a really long time, and I don't have time for that. But some of his videos are pretty cool because they give a lot of Japanese mixed in with English. He uses English subtitles. He tells you what's being said in Japanese, and he talks a lot about cultural things and how they relate to foreigners. It's very relevant stuff, in my opinion. And I can even pick up some Japanese words and terms and things like that, so I like to follow his channel. I don't agree with everything that he says. I think some of the things are a little off or a little biased or not quite right, but overall I get a lot of benefit out of his channel, and he's usually entertaining. I get a laugh out of his stuff sometimes, so I do like him. But today, one of the videos that came up was maybe about a 7.5, 8 minute video, and it was talking about foreigners worried that they can't buy things in Japan, that because too many bad foreigners have come to Japan and done crazy things, now the rest of us, the good foreigners, you know, the ones who don't do that, I don't do that, I'm not like that, I'm not one of those guys. These types of foreigners are, you know, also saying, you know, maybe it will affect us. And people who aren't in Japan yet, some of them are worried that they can't come here and buy some things because stores are restricting their services or their products for Japanese only or something like that. All of that stuff has been blown completely out of proportion. And I thought his video was kind of funny because the way he presents the video is very different than the title of the video. So if you go check out that video, you'll see what I mean if you watch it. The channel name is Sora the Troll, S-O-R-A, Sora the Troll. If you haven't been to his channel, you can check it out. But anyway, it got me to thinking, and let me take a look at Pepe's messages here. Oh, it's an unlisted members only stream. Okay, I see. Gotcha. Thank you. Do you mean Lemmy from Japan? I was wondering because I couldn't see a live stream from Lemmy. Yeah, yeah. I would love to be able to be a paying member of my friends' live streams, but I just can't do that. This month, I started a very expensive medication, and I already struggle with paying my bills and stuff because of my health. But now that my expenses and my medicine has gone through the roof, there's no way. So I can't afford to send 500 yen to my friends on their YouTube channels. So I won't be able to do that. But anyway, back to the topic. The topic is about the etiquette. And I'm going to assume that many of you who are interested in this haven't been to Japan, or you're planning to come to Japan soon, or you'd like to come to Japan, and you're thinking about, you know, the sort of things you may do that could offend people or bother people, and whether or not you should be worried about that, or maybe you are worried about it. And of course, some of you watching this might be watching because you already live here and you've been here for a while, probably some of you even longer than me, and you're just kind of watching to see what I say, maybe whether you agree or not with what I'm going to say. And not because I think I'm amazing or wonderful or anything, but I do think that what I'm going to say is 100% truth and not just my opinion. One second. Talking so much is getting to me today. So I've got some coffee from Louisiana. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm keeping my other phone here just to check my messages. So if you guys have a live chat message for me, I can respond to you. But anyway, here's the thing. There are two types of people, okay, as it relates to personalities. Now, I know that some people say, no, there are so many different types of personalities. It is true that each different person has a different set of quirks and features of their personality. That's true, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the first type of person who is able to be aware of the people around them and to care, okay? And then there's the other group of people that either don't have the ability to be aware of people around them, or they don't care, or both. So to me, these are the two groups of people. They're the people that have, let's say, common courtesy built in. All right, common courtesy. I'm not talking about the Southern hospitality, constantly saying yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am, yes, sir. ladies first all the time, constantly, opening doors for everybody, just like going way over the top, talking to strangers and asking them how they're doing today. This is the culture I grew up in, so I'm very used to doing that. I'm very open, and I've had many people tell me in Asia that they really admire how bold and open I am when I'm talking to other people, and I think, what are you talking about? I don't feel any particular level of boldness or whatever when I'm meeting people or talking with people, and but the reason I realized that the reason they've been saying that to me is because in their eyes, I am much more outreaching, I guess. So when I'm around people, I'll actually say to them, hey, how are you doing today? What have you been doing, or what did you do over the weekend? And actually be interested and chat with them, engage them in discussion, and ask them how something was. Maybe they said they had to go visit their family or something. So when they come back, I'll say, hey, how was your family? Just whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they're not used to a lot of that, or maybe that level of communication with people who aren't like really, really close to them. So maybe with colleagues, especially in particular with colleagues, that's where I get a lot of these comments. I've gotten a lot of these comments before. And so no one has ever said that it was rude. I've never worried about how I come across to other people. And the reason is because I feel like I have a very good baseline of, consideration for other people around me. All right. I'm just going to use this as an example because it's true. Okay. I'm not trying to bash on anybody in particular, but some cultural differences. I'm from America, but I'm from Louisiana. So don't try to compare me with people from New York or people from California, or even California is a big place, and even New York. New York City itself has a melting pot of people. So you can't just put all Americans together in the same pot and say they're all similar or the same. But I can tell you for sure, absolutely for sure, just with my limited travel around America, I can see some big differences in how people treat each other and the habits they have around each other. But it was never more pronounced for me than it was when I was in China. And I was in China for almost 7 years. And when you first arrive in China as a person from the South, okay, and once again, we're talking about the type 1 people who are aware of others and care about, not offending others. And of course, we expect other people not to offend us. So I give others consideration, but we also expect people to give us consideration. And this is the way, basically, a lot of people are that I know in Louisiana, where, if you go into a gas station just to grab a Coke and fill up your car, when you go in and get the Coke, usually the clerk behind the counter says, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's going all right. How about you? It's going okay. It's kind of hot outside today. Yeah, it's hot. It's typical Louisiana weather. Yeah, you're right about that. Just kind of chat. Well, take it easy, you too. This kind of thing is unheard of in a lot of places, especially in Asia. But there's a step further than that, okay? I have a habit of looking behind me when I go through a door. I go through a door and I don't let go of it until I see that there's no one behind me, because I don't want the door to close on somebody. If somebody's on their way to the door, I'll stop and hold the door for them. And this is something that's very common in Japan too, all right? But when I was in China, I can't tell you how many times I was right behind somebody, and I thought for sure they knew that I was there, and they just walked in and the door would swing and almost hit me in the face, because by and large, people there are not taught to give any consideration at all to the people around them. So when it comes to looking behind you, I don't necessarily expect them to hold the door for me every time I go in, but when I'm literally right behind them, and by just walking in and letting go of the door, it's very dangerous, and some of those doors can hurt you if you're not paying attention. So there have been many times where I almost got nailed with these doors, and I can't tell you how many hundreds of times, thousands of times probably, that happened while I was in China. So you learn really quickly to make sure you pay attention to the door with the person in front of you, because they literally don't look. They're not taught to look or care. They also, a lot of times, especially the older people, don't look when the elevator doors, I mean, the elevator is full and the door's open. Everybody needs to get out first, but yet there's a crowd of people trying to get in. And I've never understood that, because all they have to do is wait and hold the button. The elevator is not going anywhere. It's not going to rush off and leave them. They can wait until everyone's off and then they can go in the elevator. But it's the same thing with the subway and all of these things. And so the etiquette norms there are like very opposite of what I'm used to growing up. And that's one of the reasons why overall I appreciate the way etiquette is in Japan, because not only am I giving way to other people and letting other people go, like for example, when there's a line of cars and I'm driving and somebody's waiting to get out, it's very busy, it's clear that they can't get out unless someone lets them out. I will stop and wave them out, and they will drive out. This will never happen. This type of thing will never happen in China. You know, the drivers there, it's me first, always me first. So they're always having to try to cut in front of each other to get to where they need to be. And anyway, when you look at, I think it's very easy to go from a Western country to China and not have to worry about offending people, really, as long as you don't talk about politics. If you stay away from politics, you're probably okay. And topics like religion, then everything else, you probably won't offend anybody. But in Japan, yes, there's a limit that you can go past, and you can start to offend people. And so nowadays, it seems like for some reason I'm seeing a lot of stuff on social media where people are worried much more about are they going to offend people, or are they changing rules and policies here against foreigners because the foreigners are being too rude and this and that. And the big question of, do I really have to worry about the etiquette in Japan? Do I have to follow all of these norms exactly in order to keep from offending people, like how I use my chopsticks, or where I set my chopsticks, or in what order I go to the shrine or the temple and I want to use it. I really want to do that, but I'm worried about how I do that and whatever, and just concerned so much about hurting the feelings of the people around them. Okay, once again, if you're in the group one of people who are actually care just on a basic level about the people around you, you have nothing to worry about. Okay, absolutely nothing. The group two people, the people that really don't care about what other people think, or they don't care about offending others and that sort of thing, then yes, of course, they're probably going to offend people because of their attitude. And that's the key. And that's what I really wanted to tell you is, do you really have to, the question of, do you really have to worry about etiquette in Japan? Do you really have to worry about offending Japanese people about not doing things the right way, or doing something that they consider to be rude that you don't know about? Do you really have to worry about that? The answer is absolutely no. It's no. 100% across the board, it's no. And there are a few reasons why. Number one, if you are the type of person who actually doesn't want to offend anybody, and you have a somewhat humble attitude, and so that when a Japanese person or another foreigner points out, hey, you might not want to do that, or you might want to do this a different way because that's breaking the rules, or that's a social etiquette thing that it's not really good, not so good to do that, then how you respond is the important thing, okay? It's not that you broke a rule or a social etiquette norm. That's not the problem. The problem is how you did it and your attitude in response to finding out about it, okay? Because, pardon me for a second. All right. You see some of these YouTube people that have made fools of themselves. They've come over to Japan and purposefully gone out and done some of the most ridiculous things. And the whole reason why, besides getting tons of views and trying to make money off of it and getting more publicity and more followers, is to show that, hey, in Japan, they're so tolerant and forgiving that we can just do whatever we want. Well, no, that's not true. First of all, they're people, okay? They're people just like we are, and no matter how nice they're trying to be, or no matter how nice you think they're being, inside they have a different feeling, okay? If you're being an ass and you're clearly doing something that you're not showing any type of care or deferment to others for, if you're doing something in a way that appears for most people to be uncaring and deliberate, then yes, they're going to be very angry, and they might not actually come out and do something or say something, but you're really going to bother them, upset them, and you're going to make foreigners look bad. And I can't claim that I've never done anything to offend people here or stepped on social norms. I know that I have. However, let's flip this over just for a moment. I want to tell you a quick story. And this is about one of my first acquaintances. She started off as kind of a friend in Japan. I'm not going to get too detailed about who it is, but when I first came to Japan, she was kind enough to offer her time to show me around. I came with a friend of mine the first time. We spent about a week in Tokyo, and she spent a few days with us here and there, showing us around to some different areas and stuff, taking us to some places to eat. And then when I went to China to do some work and I came back, I spent some more time in Tokyo. I met her a couple more times. But throughout the process of spending some time with her, I finally stopped contacting her and going out and spending time with her. Because two things became very clear, okay? Number one, she was very, very old school and traditional and very, very strict and picky about stepping on any Japanese cultural social norms. And I mean, some of this stuff, it's very, very old etiquette stuff, okay? That's the first thing. And not only is it old etiquette stuff, but it's the kind of stuff that foreigners can't possibly know, all right? I couldn't possibly have known these things, all right? The second thing was I started to realize that the only reason she was agreeing to meet with me and do anything is out of obligation. She made it very clear in a very strong, indirect way that I was inconveniencing her. But I thought we were friends. I thought, hey, I'm coming to Tokyo, why don't we get together and go, see some place or whatever. And she would, but she would complain about it and talk about how she had to, cancel this or move this around or that, or where she'd always guilt trip me after I got there and just make me feel really, really bad about it. And so in a very strong, indirect way, she was dumping on me how she really felt. But that was one of the other things that really bothered me. But what bothered me the most about hanging out with her is her ridiculous way of treating me with regards to the the things that she said I did which were incorrect. And here's the simple one that I can give you. One day I was confused about something, and I can't remember what it was. When I first came to Japan and started spending time here, of course there were many things that I didn't understand or get. And I would ask her as we were going to these different places, what about this? What about that? For example, if you go to a shrine to toss in a coin and pray, the process is very different than going to a temple. And a shrine is for Shinto religion, and the temple is for Buddhism and Buddhist religion. Different, okay? Both are very strongly intertwined with the Japanese culture, but very different. And so sometimes I would ask about, what's the different procedure? How do you pray here versus over there, blah, 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 blah. And one day I asked a similar question about something like that, and she started explaining it to me, and I finally understood. I was like, oh, okay, I've got it. And I said, soka, because to me it was like epiphany. And I said, soka. And she got really, really angry. I mean, her face turned red, and she said, "You do not say soka to me." And I said, okay. I was suddenly just very confused and surprised. And I said, why not? I thought it just meant, I see, because now I understand. So I just, and at the time, I didn't know really any other words. I couldn't say, wakarimasu, or wakata, or naruhodo. I didn't know any of those things. So I was just kind of shocked at it. I said, well, why not? And she said, I'm not your buddy, so you can't say soka to me. And I was like, I thought you were my buddy. I thought you were my friend. She goes, no. She said, so-and-so is your buddy. And this is a guy, okay? Another guy. She said, he's your buddy. I'm not your buddy. I can't remember if she said I'm a female or I'm a woman or whatever. But what she was trying to say was, I'm a woman. I'm not your buddy. So you can't just say soka to me so casually. Now, she was older than me, but, not that much older. And I never considered her to be like a superior or an elder or anything like that, even though she was older than me. At best, she was a peer. But she really blew up because I said soka to her. And here's the funny thing. She told me it was very, very rude to say soka to someone like her. I can only say it to my guy buddies, the guys the men that I'm buddy with. And I said, okay, well, and she really made a big deal about it and kept saying, it's very, very rude. You can't say that to me. That's very, very rude. You shouldn't say that. And I said, well, what should I say then? And she was just very quiet. And I said, what should I say? And I finally remembered the word naruhodo, and I said, can I say naruhodo? But she didn't even answer me. She just ignored me. And now here's the irony of that situation. She blew up about a supposed social norm that she has imprinted upon her mind as to what a guy and a girl, or a woman and a man can do and cannot do, okay? So apparently men cannot just say soka to women. It's too casual, too improper. It's too rude. But how could I possibly know that as a foreigner? It was impossible. Unless I was just some kind of Japan cultural expert, which I wasn't. So it was impossible for me to know that. But here's the irony. Because she blew up and treated me so badly and made me feel so bad about it, she was really, really, really rude. And I was very apologetic. I tried to say the right thing. I wanted to learn what the right thing to say was. I came up with a different word, and I asked her if that was okay. She wouldn't even answer me. And it was after that I realized I'm done with her. I never want to be around her ever again. And the reason is because she's in group 2, okay? Remember, there are people in group 1 who are aware of people around them and have a base level of of a common courtesy and care about other people. And I consider myself to be in that group. Group 2 people don't have that. They will tell you all day long about, what you're doing wrong and how you're breaking etiquette rules and all of that. But in the process, they will treat you like garbage. And because she was treating me like garbage consistently, and this is just one example, but she did that type of thing to me several times. And it was always about these little tiny Japanese rules and social norms or traditional things. Most of them were very old traditional things that I couldn't possibly know about, and she would try to force them on me, but be very angry because I wouldn't do them or break them and blow up. Ironically, treating me like garbage while telling me I was basically treating her in the Japanese culture like garbage. It couldn't have been more ironic if I had sat down to write the script myself. But there was another day where I told her I don't like seafood. I don't really eat fish. She wanted to take me somewhere to get some really authentic Japanese style food, and I said it's fine, but I'd really rather not have seafood. Don't really want fish. But she insisted that we go to this cafe, and we got there. She ordered this fish, and it's only served during a certain season of the year. I can't remember the name of the fish. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. But hang on a second, got a message here. 1800 social etiquette over here. Yes, you're absolutely right. That is exactly what that. Oh yeah, that's Hey Tori. Yes, you're absolutely right. That's exactly how I always felt around her, because I was like, man, what era did you come from? Were you back from the Meiji era or something? Where exactly do you get these traditions from? Because sometimes I'll retell some of these little stories to my Japanese friends, and they're like, oh my God, what in the world was she talking about? I seriously, to this day, I have not heard one single person ever confirm anything she said as being not okay. And I've even had other Japanese women my age and older tell me, I don't care if you say soka to me. I know you, you know me. If I say something and you say, soka, I don't care. So literally nobody cares. It was just her. So she's got these really old, crazy ideas, but in the process of telling me about it, she wouldn't say, Brandon, some people in Japan are very traditional, and especially the older people, if you say soka to them, they could really get bothered by it. They would feel like you're being too casual. So just be careful when you say that. She could have said it that way, but she never, ever talked like that to me. She would just blow up and even like kind of point. That's very rude. And even in Japan, it's rude. You can't be pointing at people. So she would jump on me about something I couldn't possibly have known and then be rude in the process. So, nonsense. I didn't really mean to spend that much time on that. I just feel like you have to understand, not everybody here is going to be nice. Excuse me. If you saw one of my earlier videos or more recent videos from a couple weeks ago, you'll see that I had to quit leave my part-time job because of the same reason. I was dealing with somebody who was basically a narcissist. And those narcissistic personality traits, I have like a red flag for those things. And when they come up and people start, really being rude to me and treating me badly, but don't have the ability to see what they're doing wrong or to admit that they've done something wrong. And when I ask them an honest question about what they said, like, for example, when they accuse me of something and I say, well, when did I do that? And then they blow up. And the reason they blow up is because I never actually did those things, and they don't have any example of when I did those things. So when I actually call them on it, then they blow up because that's their only recourse. It's like dealing with somebody who's really, really, really far left or far right. They're so far out there that when you ask them for facts, their only recourse is to blow up because they have no information to give you. Pardon me. Anyway, so all of this boils down to my message to you, which is do not worry about coming to Japan and stepping on people's toes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to come here and do whatever you want. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're the kind of person who cares about how others feel, and you give genuine common courtesy and consideration for other people, then you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Because you will just naturally do things in a way that's meant to take into consideration the people who are immediately around you, okay? If you're that type of person. If you're in the second group of people who doesn't really care, you're selfish, maybe narcissistic or whatever, then you are probably going to step on people's toes. But then again, you probably wouldn't be here watching this video and unless you have other reasons, because you wouldn't be worried about it. You wouldn't care. So for those of you who do care, don't worry too much. Just be aware of how you come across and be willing to apologize when it's necessary. You don't have to grovel. You know, if you couldn't possibly know, like you were in my situation, you couldn't possibly know when you have somebody jumping on you, you can say, hey, look, there's no reason to be rude with me. I wasn't trying to be rude with you. I just didn't know. And that's fair. Nobody, no matter who they are, no matter which country you're in, okay? You don't have to be in Japan. It could be any country. But if it's not your country and you do something wrong and people are jumping on you for something that was a genuine accident, they don't have the right to be that way. I don't care where you are. People don't have a right to treat you like garbage in a situation where you just made a mistake. You can say, hey, listen, I didn't know, and I won't do it again. I'm sorry, but I won't do it again. I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. So if people are going to jump on you for that, that's their problem, not yours. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about. I mean, there's some little things like just when you talk about chopstick etiquette, how to use chopsticks. I've seen some short videos online and some other videos talking about the, happy tiger. Hi, tiger. Thanks for stopping in. But just chopsticks alone. My gosh, if you want to see something really crazy, look up all of the different things that are required for proper etiquette of chopsticks. Okay? And you'll find when you come to Japan that a lot of Japanese break those. Actually, they break most of those etiquette because there are many, okay? There are a few things that you won't see Japanese doing, like sticking their chopsticks in their rice or in their bowl of food. You'll never see anybody do that. I've never seen any Japanese do that or Chinese do that. They don't do that. And the reason is because it's similar to what you do in a funeral, okay? So nobody does that. But there are some things that you're told aren't good chopstick etiquette, but I still see Japanese do those things, okay? And often. And the funny thing is, I learned not to do those things or to do those things the right way, and I started doing those because I was concerned about offending other people. But whenever I go out and eat, I'm constantly seeing Japanese do these things. So, what to worry about and what not to worry about? Well, I think that you just kind of have to, read the room a little bit. And sometimes, though, just because you see one or two or three people doing it doesn't mean that you should do it. And I can give you a really good example of that. I think with this example will end the live stream. Okay. Have you ever been to an onsen in Japan? Is it Peppy has another message here? Oh, he just says hi, happy tiger. Yeah. All right. I absolutely love the onsens in Japan. Even if it's just a public bath. If it's a natural spring, that's even better. That's my favorite. But even the hot baths will have different tubs. One of the ones that I like in Takamatsu, it has like a mineral bath. Then it has a a bath with whirlpool jets that they do like a massage on your back and your shoulders from the top, and the pipes actually come up and go down, so it hits your shoulders. It's very nice. It makes a big mess as the water is coming down, splatters everywhere, but it's really cool. It's just like a really strong massage. And then they have another pool that has some electricity in it, so it gives you mild shocks. And the closer you get to those electric, stronger they get. You can't get up right next to it because it hurts, but it hurts. Sorry, that was an accidental pun, but so they have different types of pools, even in the public baths, that are beneficial and stimulate and nourish your body in different ways. So I love the hot baths and the onsens. But there are some general rules of etiquette that everybody is supposed to follow. And of course, the onsen, just like the chopsticks, it can get pretty detailed. And there are lots of social etiquette rules that you're supposed to follow while in the onsen. But there are a couple that you just absolutely should always follow, even though I've seen many Japanese guys do this. I don't go into the onsen with the women, sadly, because the bathing is separate. You go into the onsen and you go to the lockers, you take off all your clothes, then you go take you go scrub yourself down, take basically a shower and a bath. You sit on a stool, you scrub yourself really, really good from head to toe, brush your teeth. I like to shave there too. I like to get really nice and fresh, clean my whole body. Then you go and get in the baths and soak and relax. And while out of the many times I've been in there, into the different ones, different baths and onsens in Japan, I've been around lots of different guys. Okay, even the kids go in there. So there's men with their sons, their grandsons. A lot of times, sometimes you see grandpa, son, and grandson all together. You'll see like 3 generations, maybe even 4 all together in the onsen at one time. But you see all ages, all different types of guys in there. And as I'm looking around and I'm observing what they're doing, many of them, and I say many, but I would say probably 20% at least, every single time I go, on average, at least 20% of the guys are breaking the social etiquette rules. They're doing a lot of things in there that they're not supposed to do. And the one main thing that I see guys doing, and it's not just the young guys, okay? I see some old guys doing this, and everyone around them, they look at them and they give them what I call the Japanese stare of dissatisfaction, or disappointment when, like if you're on the subway and you're talking too loud with your friends, you'll see the older Japanese man just looking over and staring disapprovingly, hoping that you catch a glimpse of him and quieten down, do what you're supposed to do. But they won't actually say anything. They'll just kind of give you that look. It's kind of what they'll do in the onsen under certain circumstances. So you have this basically what's like a hand towel, and you fold it up into a square and you put it on your head. So when you're sitting in the water, you've got the towel on your head, and as you're sweating, you can take the towel, you can wipe the sweat off, and you can put it back on your head. But you are not supposed to put that towel in the water. Okay, you do not put that towel in the water. But some guys do put it in the water, and they take it and they squeeze it over their heads, and they do stuff like that. But this is absolutely ridiculous. Now, you might think, why does that matter? Well, when you're in the hot tub with all these other guys or whatever, you're not supposed to submerge your head under the water, because you're not supposed to be putting your head and your hair in the water. But people are bringing some of their kids in there, and they're basically running around doing stupid things, slipping and falling all the time, swimming under the water, dipping their heads under the water, playing around like it's a water park, not an onsen, and not getting a lot of, I believe, in my opinion, they're not getting enough strict parental discipline in those situations. I've seen probably 10 kids fall and hit their heads on the floor, and on that hard tile floor, because they're acting like fools. And when they jump in the water, sometimes they're splashing around. I have to constantly pull my legs in because they come by deliberately. Because I'm a foreigner, I guess, but the kids like to come by deliberately too close. They've got all this space, but they walk over to where I'm at and bump into my legs. So they're constantly breaking these rules. But for the guys, whether they're teenagers or young men or middle-aged guys or old guys, I see a lot of them. Like I said, maybe 20 to 30% of those guys, every time I go to the onsen, I see them putting their towel off their head in the water and squeezing it out in the water. And that's a big no-no. That's a really big no-no. So that's one rule that I never break, and a rule that you're supposed to follow. But guess what? Japanese break it. If you go into an onsen and you forget and you do that, whoops, I forgot. I won't do it next time. You're not going to, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to really make anybody blow up at you unless it's just a really, really crotchety old man. But like I said, in those situations, you just have to, you have to not worry, just not worry at all about getting in trouble. Because if your heart is in the right place and the way you respond is correct, then you don't have to worry about, stepping on people's social etiquette toes here. So anyway, so that message, this video message is basically for those of you who are concerned about whether or not you're going to offend people or do something wrong when you come to Japan or while you're in Japan. If you're that concerned about it, I think you have nothing to worry about, because just be apologetic, but don't allow people, because there's some, not the majority, definitely not the majority. Most Japanese are completely understanding, and especially if you show them, oh, I'm so sorry, I did not mean to do that, they will be completely understanding 99% of the time. But every once in a while, you might get somebody who's, just a jerk, because they're people too. We're all people. Love this info. It's great for foreigners who aren't accustomed to these things. Matsukawa Zaraki, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Like I said, it was on my mind anyway before, but because I've seen a lot of videos, and then Sora's video today talking about foreigners worried about, all the other foreigners are making us look bad, and I'm one of the good ones. That's one of the funny things I like from his video, because I see that too. Well, those foreigners are the bad foreigners. I'm not one of those foreigners, and that's pretty funny, because I could do that too. I could go on video and say, I'm not one of those guys. I don't do anything wrong. I'm a friend of the Japanese. They're glad to have me here. I would love to think that the Japanese love to have me here. But honestly, because of my health over the past couple of years, I just feel like I've been a burden. I've been a burden on not just people here, but some of my friends who've helped to support me. And a burden on society in general because of my health issues. I know that's just kind of maybe a little bit of melancholy because of having to deal with an illness every single day. But I will say that despite my fluctuations in how I feel and in my attitude, in general, my baseline is the most important thing, okay? Because I do still make mistakes, and sometimes I get really upset. I'm not feeling particularly well. I'm in pain. I'm in class, and the students are being really ridiculous, and I just can't take it anymore. And then I'll say something to the teachers. Maybe they don't respond exactly the way I think they should or could respond, and then I'll complain about it. Not really rudely, but in Japan, maybe a little too direct. And I have to come back later, and I do. I come back later and say, I didn't mean to be too direct. If I was rude, I'm sorry. And they always say, oh, no, you weren't rude at all. We understand. They always say that. In my mind, I'm thinking they probably are like, yeah, you were rude, but it's okay. You apologize, so you're good. But they won't say that. They will never say, yeah, you're rude. But they do. I'm sure that they are happy that I apologize and acknowledge that, wasn't feeling well, and I didn't want to come across as rude. And sometimes I'll even bring them like a omiyage, a little gift or something, from like when I go to Hiroshima, I'll bring something back from the import store. Like I said, if you have a baseline of consideration for others, then you have no problem in Japan. That's what I think. If you don't have a baseline of consideration for others, then you will definitely have problems in Japan. But I would guess that you'll probably have problems anywhere you go, even in your home country. But anyway, if you guys have any questions about anything in particular, I'm no etiquette expert. I do have a good grasp, I believe, on the standard etiquette of most situations, most everyday situations in Japan. So if you have a question, you can drop it in the comment section, and I'd be happy to try to answer it. If I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you, or help you to find it, or we can discuss it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll do what we can. But that's pretty much it for now. I just wanted to let you guys let you guys know, don't sweat it when you come to Japan. As long as you have some consideration for others and you're willing to understand when you make a mistake and be apologetic for it, you have nothing to worry about. And that's my message for you today. I think that's pretty much it. Good advice. Thank you. Have a good day, Brandon. Hayatori, thank you very much. Sorry for the coughing. You too as well. It's raining very heavily here today, so I'm just inside relaxing, studying some kanji. I have the JLPT coming up. Something else I'll probably talk about as my experience goes through with taking that. And so you guys can look forward to that. Anyone interested in studying in Japan or taking the JLPT, I can share my experience with you. But for now, that's it. And I appreciate you guys joining. Now, I just have to turn this around and end the live stream. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu. And じゃあね。